Hey folks, here I am in Landy Land for the first time in 2 years. Yep, it's been 2 years since I did any work on any of my Land Rovers. So this is Larissa, the lockdown Landy, the one that I brought home at 7 minutes to midnight before we were supposed to be locked up. And here's Percy the parts car, my $300 Land Rover. What we're looking at now, with the moss all over the bonnet, is Brutus. Brutus is my V8 Stage 1 New Zealand Police Land Rover. And he's almost finished. All Brutus needs really, I would say, is door tops. These doors are shagged, but inside I've done all the other work. The dashboard's been recovered, the seats are recovered, but now they're covered in spider shit and mould, and it's time to get Brutus out and give him the big clean up. I've refurbished all these parts and then just hurled them inside. Locked the door and left him closed up for 2 years. I can't wait to get back into it. I've spent 2 days in here with the weed eater and the hedge trimmer and the mulcher cleaning up, because honestly you could hardly get to these three machines because the hedge had started to grow right out and was growing over the Land Rovers. So I've mulched and cleaned and got it all back to square again, and I've now got full use of the land that I paid for. As you can see, I've still got the door tops to do. That's right, this is the one that I recovered the dash on. Now it's 2 years old. It's looking very believable, looks very original, doesn't it? Like I did it. And yeah, the seats, well, they're looking pretty believable as well, because they've been sitting here in the mould and the mildew and the damp and the heats for 2 years, so they're looking, yeah, they're looking rather patinaed. The other door top's just as bad. And on Larissa, the lockdown Landy, well, there's no doors at all, because they're in the shed still waiting to have little sections of door frame welded into them. Yep, I got incredibly busy with other stuff for 2 years. Anyway, now that I can no longer work for a living, I need to put more time into what we're doing here. Just showing you guys tips and tricks and hacks that I've discovered and created over 12 years of living on this planet. And an awful lot of it seems to have been spent here. Anyway, yes, I've got just enough strength in my shoulders to keep ahead of looking after the place in small bursts, but I can't reliably work for anybody anymore. Body's just broken. So it's going to give me time to tinker with the Land Rovers a lot more, which is going to be something that a lot of you have been asking about, and it makes me realise that I have picked up a lot of haphazard skills over the years, from animal husbandry to the quick way of getting the gearbox out of a Land Rover. But from now on, what I'm going to be doing is giving you guys the opportunity to help me buy a tank of gas occasionally. I've had a lot of people who've offered in the past to help me in one way or another. Usually that involves sending me money, and that really felt a bit cringe. I didn't like to do it. But now I'm in a position where I would really appreciate anything that you could help support the channel with. So I've created my own little corner on that website, Buy Me a Coffee. There's a link to it up here. I'm not asking people to buy me a coffee. I thought I'd be a little bit different, just asking if somebody can chip in for some gas every now and again, because hey, running a fleet of Land Rovers ain't cheap, you know. This corner of my property that's become affectionately known as Landy Land has actually been encroached on by the hedge over the last 2 years. The hedge that's just behind you in the camera used to come out and was starting to brush against here. So it was time to chop it away and get an extra 3 or 4 feet of my yard back so that I can jiggle things around and we can crack into the Land Rovers again. I've got to get the doors finished on this one and then give it a set of new rings and bearings in the engine, and then put the engine back in and the radiator and a few other bits and pieces. Then this one's ready for a drive. Over my shoulder here, Brutus, the ex-New Zealand Police V8 Stage 1 Land Rover. All he needs is some brake pipes bent up, fit the radiator, bleed the brakes, put the fuel tank back in and connect up a few wires. Then he's ready for a drive as well. But if you've been keeping an eye on the channel, you'll know that I've made a commitment to a new Land Rover. That's Martin. Martin's out in the driveway. Martin? Why Martin? Well, that's because he's not quite the full Aston. You see, he's got the alloy body, he's all-wheel drive, it's powered by an alloy V8. He was eye-wateringly expensive when he was new, but he's not quite the full Aston Martin, if you know what I mean. Well, Martin, the 110-inch wheelbase 5-door V8 Land Rover County, has been in the driveway for 2 weeks, and he's got no dents. I've found him a spare engine, which I'm going to do up. I've beaten out most of the dents on the left-hand side. Right-hand side's reasonably clean. Given him a loud new horn, and he's getting LED headlights. Under the bonnet, I've painted and cleaned and tightened and adjusted and got things running nicely. Still work to be done, but it's looking a lot better. I'm not going to put that huge air cleaner on until I've got everything else done, because it just gets in the way. Down this side, reasonably tidy for an old girl. You can see that this aluminium piece that I've fabricated from 3 pieces of scrap aluminium is now keeping the hot air from the engine and transmission out. And you can see that I've now started handling the warning light panel. God knows what's going on in there, only one of them works. So I've ordered a whole heap of new bulbs, and I'm doing auto electrics. So 2024, what are we going to get in 2024? We're going to get more Land Rovers. There's going to be a fair dose of gardening. I'm very busy with biodigester seminars at the moment, here, there and everywhere. About every second weekend I'm doing a biodigester seminar somewhere in the North Island. Saturdays is Farmers Market Day. And during the week, I'm just busy raising quail and growing mushrooms. So life's grand.